Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtadar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about a battle that is going on inside the MAGA movement, inside the Republican Party, especially the right wing of the Republican Party. And this battle is essentially for who will be the successor to Donald Trump, who will become the Republican nominee in 2028. And the issue is amazing. It is whether it'll be J.D. Vance who is being portrayed as America first, or will it be somebody else who is Israel first? So this has become the dividing line, even though for most of the Americans, it is not foreign policy that matters, it is domestic policy that matters. One of the biggest crises, as you have all, those of you who observed the elections in New York, which most Democrats wanted to make it about Israel, where the Democratic establishment came across as clearly as Israel first, especially Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the other senator, I keep forgetting, Kristen Gillibrand. They all came across as Israel first, whereas Mamdani, who came across as the only New York first, New York last candidate, won the election in May. So now the battle began, and this all happened at Turning Point USA's annual convention or conference called America Fest or AmFest. So basically, what has happened here was that some voices who are seen as being very pro-Israel and supporting U.S.-Israeli strategic partnership came out and started literally calling out names and attacking people. Other MAGA voices like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon and Megyn Kelly. And suddenly now you find that they were also at that event, and so they went after each other. And so it's absolutely fascinating. I'm not a regular viewer of conservative media and consumers, so I'm missing out, I think, on some of the subtle details. But there was nothing subtle about the bar fight that took place at Turning Point USA, which is now being led by Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk, who basically at the event endorsed J.D. Vance as a Republican candidate in 2028. It's very interesting. The move that she made basically says there was no third term for Donald Trump, and it's going to be J.D. Vance who is going to carry the conservative America First Republican banner. And then after that, of course, Ben Shapiro came out and basically lambasted everybody. Anybody these days who is critical of Israel is simply labeled as anti-Semite. And so he went on to call lots of people cowards and anti-Semitic, etc. But basically, it was Tucker Carlson who really exposed the undercurrents of the debates inside the MAGA movement. And so I'm going to play to you a clip of I think, one of the most critical aspects of Tucker Carlson's speech there, and listen to that. And then after that, I will tell you as to how the alignment of America first versus Israel first is happening inside the Republican Party. And I think you will see the same thing inside the Democratic Party, even though nearly 90% of Democrats now do not swear by Israel. The leadership is still there. So you will see a pro-Israel and a pro-America agenda inside the Democratic Party too, but we will keep that for when that happens. But now here's Tucker Carlson, and after that, I will unpack that for you and actually show you who is standing up for Israel inside the MAGA move. Put together a very interesting coalition. A lot of people who would have otherwise voted Democrat, especially bringing in young voters. And Charlie Kirk's movement, Turning Point USA, apparently played a significant role in turning out young college kids, especially young white men, to come out and support Donald Trump. So basically, the battle is about who will inherit the mantle of MAGA, who will inherit this coalition that Donald Trump created to win the White House by a significant margin. He won all the battleground states and literally wiped the floor with Kamala Harris. So let's continue with Carlson. He's talking very clearly and saying this battle that you see right now, and this is just 1 year, even 1 year is not yet complete. So what rather than talking as an acting Secretary of State or the Secretary of State who is at the moment focused on foreign policy. So yes, they are probably looking at this. So, and let's continue with Carlson because he explains why they don't want J.D. Vance. Trying to say that there are some people who do not want the MAGA movement to stand for America first. They want it to be make America great again. That is fine, but they don't want to do this because putting America first means putting the national interest of the United States first. And because J.D. Vance is seen as person who places America first, he is not liked by some people, and we will show you who those people are. And he says very clearly, Ben Shapiro basically attacked Tucker Carlson for being anti-Semite, and apparently Tucker Carlson is now the anti-Semite of the year of 2025. And so they're saying, oh, and he's a close one in 2016. And remember, Donald Trump labeled him as lying Ted, and that label stuck for a while, and he lost in the primaries to Donald Trump. So Ted Cruz now is running for president. And if you read this article in the Washington Post, let me show you the top. Yeah, this is Ted Cruz with another presidential setting up a clash with J.D. Vance. But the whole article is not about anything that is a crisis in America, like crisis of affordability in America, or the crisis with China, or the crisis of manufacturing, loss of jobs, all the problems, inflation, etc., that America is facing. The whole justification is Ted Cruz is running because there is now anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli movement inside the MAGA movement. So Ted Cruz is coming to the rescue of Israel. So he's running to be the president of the United States in order to protect Israel. So that is how this whole thing has been set up now. So the MAGA movement is divided now, as those who feel that America First slogan is now an anti-Israel and an anti-Semitic slogan. And the people who are associated with that are people like Megyn Kelly, Steve Bannon, Candace Owen, perhaps the most well-known of these people. She was not even invited to AmFest, even though she was one of the closest friends of Charlie Kirk. And on top of that, you have another person, Steve Bannon. There are four of them I have in my mind. It is Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Megyn Kelly, and Candace Owens. These are the four who are seen as the America First crowd, and then people like Ben Shapiro and Ted Cruz are the ones who are basically Israel firsters. So this is how the debate is going to go. And it got really, I mean, it was at some point quite unparliamentary. So, for example, I'm going to end this discussion by saying that this is going to unravel the GOP. This is going to give the Democrats a huge advantage in 2028 if they are so divided. And I hope the Democrats don't do stupid things like, oh, I'm running for president to save the Western civilization. I'm fighting for Kiev. I'm fighting for Ukraine. I'm fighting for Taiwan. If the Democrats go down the line, they're going to lose. They have to simply forget the ideology of Joe Biden, who had only one slogan: ironclad commitment to Israel, which a lot of Democrats began to see as ironclad commitment to genocide and defending genocide and supporting and funding genocide. If the Democrats go down the lane, they will lose to the Republicans. If they stick to the core issues of Americans whose lives are vulnerable, jobs, we don't know what artificial intelligence and what these tariff-related trade wars are going to do to the U.S. economy in the next 3 years. So we have to make sure that the Democrats, at least they need to focus on America, like Zohran Mamdani did, focusing on New York's problems and not Israel's problems. So we will see what happens going forward. But I want to show you how pretty nasty it got if you listen to the way Steve Bannon was talking. Steve Bannon is another major MAGA voice. He was the strategic advisor to Donald Trump in the first term. He He worked in the White House. In fact, he went to jail for Donald Trump. So he's an important voice in the MAGA movement, and he seems to be clearly behind J.D. Vance and this America First agenda. So here goes. Here comes Steve Bannon.
Ben, you can't handle the truth.
He's talking about Ben Shapiro, who kept talking about, oh, we need to talk about truth, truth, truth. So he just talked about truth, especially coming from Ben Shapiro. It was quite interesting, to say the least.
What is Greater Israel? It's not about Israel itself. It's about an expansionist Israel, an imperial Israel that Netanyahu and that crowd have thought up. And the Israel First crowd is Ben Shapiro, Tel Aviv Mark Levin, and many others that want to put that ahead of America's interests. Charlie Kirk fought that. You know where Charlie Kirk fought it? In the White House. I know, because I was there. When I went back, Charlie Kirk was working with Sergio Gore to make sure that we didn't get sucked into a land war, a decapitation of the Iranian elites that would lead to a massive civil war that American troops would get sucked into, because that was Netanyahu's plan from the beginning.
So this is what it is. They are laying it out that Israel is trying to get America to go and fight its battles, and that's not what we want to do. We don't want to get into endless wars. Can you imagine going into Iraq, a country that had nothing to do with 9/11, that did not have weapons of mass destruction, but it made Israelis feel insecure? And so the neocons really pushed the US to go after Iraq, destroy that country, kill hundreds of thousands of people, and then gave birth to ISIS. There was no ISIS before that. ISIS emerged after the US invasion of Iraq, just as Hezbollah emerged after the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. And so now you don't want to have another land war. Can you imagine the US going and invading Iran, destabilizing the country, and then God knows what ISIS 2.0 or ISIS 3.0 is going to look like coming out of a country that has been invaded and destroyed. So this is what the Bannon crowd, Bannon, Tucker Carlson want to say. If it threatens the US, yes, we will go and fight. In fact, in that particular speech, Bannon very clearly says, look, if Israel wants to go and attack Syria, be my guest. You want to attack Lebanon, be my guest, but do not drag us into that war. As it is, we spend too much money, billions and billions of dollars defending Israel and arming it and giving it technology, and then alienating and generating anti-American sentiment all over the world. So anyway, it looks like the battle lines have been drawn for the presidential primaries within the Republican Party. So what is at stake is not just the nomination for the president, but also at stake is who is going to inherit the MAGA movement, and what will be the priorities of the MAGA movement. Or will the Republican parties be for America, or will it be for Israel? And I think that's what the debate is going to be on the right for a long time. I think this is a great opportunity for the Democrats. All they need to do is to focus on affordability. If they remain focused on affordability, because things are getting tough, I can tell you that. This week, I bought all my meds. Now I buy medicines once in 3 months, and the prices have gone through the roof. I'm by the grace of God, I'm doing well, so it doesn't hurt me. But I can imagine for people, for an average American family, that inflation must be hurting. So anyway, so something interesting has happened. I'm describing the battle for Republican nomination 2028 as the battle between Israel first and America first. But I think a lot of that will be impacted by how the Republican Party does in 2026 in the midterms. If Donald Trump becomes a lame duck president in 2026, which means if they lose the House as well as the Senate, one thing that is sure is that the Democrats are going to try and impeach him again. And that is what he's afraid of. Anyway, we will see. As always, I will keep an eye on the developments. So thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Like this video, press the bell icon, and don't forget to share this video with your socio-political network. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtadar Khan. Take care.